Hello, my name is Every Bubble, and I sometimes go by the name of Simon, and this is a thoughts video. Now, you might think that I'm going a bit crazy because I just talked about, say, a role-playing game, and now I'm talking about a cooperative narrative adventure game, also by the same company. Um, I guess this is just what my weekend or week has been, so I just thought I should give my thoughts about it. Now, I should point out, this was my game that was number one for my GenCon top 10 list of the games I was most excited about coming out of GenCon. And so I kind of pride myself on being able to call out good games when I see them. Now, the trouble being, was I actually right? And I'll be fully admit right now, I kinda wasn't. Now, that may seem like a cop out answer that I'm not being like, no, I made a terrible mistake, it clearly was all my fault to blame. No, you see, this is not a bad This is not a bad story. Actually, I think this is a pretty good story. I think this is actually a really, really good story. It's not a great game. Let me explain. You see, in Legacy of Dragonholt, you will make a character very similar to, well, a role-playing game. You'll make a character, you'll write out their abilities on the sheet. You'll say, give them their skills and experience, their stamina, personality, background, physical description, items, and so on and so forth. And then you'll go on this story. It's a choose your own adventure book situation where you'll read through the opening story, which I think in this case happens to be the new roads, and I'll explain why you're traveling there, and you'll meet certain companions. And then whenever you read a section, you'll have to choose, say, certain things. You can see barely there. You choose certain things. They'll tell you to go to a different book or different entry in the book, and then you'll say, you might discover an item, or it might progress time, or might be like mark section C1, and then what's going to happen is later on in the game when you do something, it might be if C1 is ticked, and then you're like, oh, that's because we did that thing where we talked to that one character and they remember us. That's the game. Now, I should point out that's not the full game. So you see, a lot of times it's similar to Tales of Arabian Nights, where you might have a skill. You might have said, I'm going to choose the arcane skill, or I'm going to choose the apothecary, or I might have choose the brawl skill, or I might have chosen the persuasion. There's actually a lot of skills to choose from, most of which get fairly covered throughout the actual. I think there's 6 adventures you can go on. So you have knight skills, you have, say, wondrous skills, which is archery, survival, endurance, deception, reasoning, agility, stealth. So you have your fair share of characters you can actually choose from, and there's of course pre-made characters that you can download off the internet. But really the game comes in of this, it tells a story. Now it does say 1 to 6 players on the box, and that's a complete lie. This game is honestly either going to be best for 1 player, reading it by yourself and having a really good adventure, in which case this makes it quite an expensive book, because I think this costs something like $60, I want to say, which is fairly expensive for just what it seems to be like a really nicely long laid out choose your own adventure book. For a game, it's a bit too expensive as well, simply because there's not enough game elements in it. You see, how it works is each person's supposed to make a character, and then you use what's called simply these lovely rune stones, or rune, yeah, so it is basically runes, and this is basically your turn action. So what it means is, if you want to act in a certain moment, you will expend this rune, I guess you could say, and you'll do the action, or you'll read through and see what happens to your character. What happens then is, once everyone's kind of expended their rune, they all refresh, and then people can start saying, I want to do this again. That works fairly well in a 4-player system. The trouble is the way the game is written. You see, a lot of it tends to use personal pronouns. It tends to talk a lot about, you hurl a firebolt at screaming goblin coming towards you, or you climb up the tree to gaze upon the moonlight stars. It never says you're brave orc. It never tries to tell your character. It always skits on that level of not really directing you. And so what it means is, a lot of times, and this is quite obvious from the certain, like, just the entry level book, is that a lot of times it feels like your character's doing it, But a lot of times it also feels like it could just be anyone else's character in the group doing it as well. Which is why I tend to say it plays best of one. It kind of feels like it could be a Skyrim type adventure where it's your character going on these quests. And again, I should say there is a lot of content in the thing. You have the opening book, which is 50 to 80 minutes, and then you have a whole nother, 6 other quests to go on, which again are 50 to 80 minutes long. And not only that, you then have the whole Dragonholt village, which is this massive book of just possible things you can do just by going to different places. And I will say now the mechanics for that are quite clever. You know, you'll pass time by just marking down something, or basically marking down whenever time passes, and it'll say if 3 times has passed, then the shop's closed, or if 4 times passed, the shop is open again for the next day. And that's quite nice. You also get a little journal of stuff to do. You have a little letter to read, and I like these kind of things. I like it when games have these certain props that just help you kind of get into the moment a bit more. And there is certain items. You get a whole nice little item deck of rare items that you probably shouldn't be looking at, but they will give your characters certain special abilities, so you might find, which is no spoiler, a healing potion. These are like a dime a dozen, so don't worry about seeing that. Now, in terms of combat's basically the same thing. It's you choose an action and it happens. If you suffer damage, you essentially are going to be suffering stamina, which you can see over here. There's a nice little stamina pool there. And you'll have like 8 stamina or 10 stamina depending on how many skills you choose. Whenever you take damage, you'll then take it into stamina. And if you take too much damage, you'll then have to start blocking off skills, which means you can't use them until you're healed up again. Which means you might be really, really wanting to use that one arcane spell, and the game gives you an opportunity to do that, but you can't because you're wounded. That's the game in a nutshell. It is based in Terranov, or the Descent universe, so it is fairly generic storytelling, but the storytelling is fairly nicely written. Every character feels alive. As soon as you enter the immediate first scenario, you get 2 characters. Again, these aren't spoilers because it's like literally the first thing you encounter, but I will say it's quite nice how the first 2 characters are these really cool strong women, and you can see the individuality with them. They are quite stereotypical in their natures, but it's quite easy to identify what their kind of personality tropes are. Now, is this game for everyone? No. If you do not like telling a story, don't pick this game up. If you want a dungeon crawler, do not pick this game up. If you want a story, you should pick this game up and probably play it with your friends. Kind of. Probably play it maybe with your lover or your significant other. However, where I think this game might shine the best, I can't fully clarify this, I can't fully test this out, but I will say where I think this game might shine the best is if it's you and your families. Perhaps it's like you and your 2 kids, and you want to read it to them as a bedtime story. I actually think that's a really good idea. Yeah, because, like, yes, there's a lot of things where it's like you might hold a fireball at a bandit and he screams in pain. But there's nothing worse than what you see nowadays on TV. It's never anything too brutal or too grisly, and oftentimes if you're reading it to your kids, you probably can skip over those parts. But it's a nice personal feeling. It's a nice personal story of their characters. It's their characters doing these cool adventures. And if it's reading it to kids, they're not really going to care that it constantly refers to you as a player, especially if you're reading it to your kids. And I think that's great. I think this is honestly probably one of the coolest bedtime stories you could probably give or tell to your children. And it's magical. It really is. A lot of these moments, like, here's the thing. On Fantasy Flight's website, there is an achievement list. Now, this is full of spoilers. Kind of, which could range from everything from completing all 6 of the adventures, or it could simply just be meeting 2 cats in the town. Do you manage to do that? Or, again, this is not really spoilers, it could just be, do you play a board game or card game in town? Or do you attend a wedding? You see, that's nice. I like that. I haven't got far in the game. I have my character. And every night I sit down, I play through maybe half a thing. maybe half the book, just take 30 minutes and just take my time and enjoy it. And it's wonderful. It is a really nice experience. But here's the thing. I would never want to play this with my friends because honestly, this is better as a personal experience. Anyway, that's going to be it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you do like Legacy of Dragonholt, remember to leave a comment. I'd love to hear maybe about a character that you created in the game. If you dislike this video because I mumbled on and jumbled my words, then hit the dislike button. And of course, if you want to see more content, then hit the subscribe button. I put out weekly videos and hope to do so for a long time coming. Anyway, that's going to be it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.